In 1920, Charlie Chaplin packed more than 400,000 feet of film negative into coffee tins, boarded a train, and fled California. Divorce lawyers were coming to seize his unfinished movie, and he was not going to let them have it. That movie was The Kid, his very first feature film, and at that moment it was worth more than almost anything else he owned. His wife, Mildred Harris, had filed for divorce, and her attorneys moved to tie up his assets. The negative counted as an asset, so Chaplin and a small trusted crew rode to Salt Lake City, Utah, checked into a hotel, and secretly edited the picture in a room upstairs, cutting and splicing hundreds of thousands of feet of film by hand. The film itself was born from tragedy. In July 1919, Chaplin's infant son Norman died just 3 days after birth. Within days, the grieving comedian began building a story about a tramp who finds an abandoned baby and refuses to give him up. Then he found his kid. Jackie Coogan was 4 years old when Chaplin spotted him performing on a vaudeville stage at the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles. Chaplin was so taken with the boy that he built the entire picture around him. Chaplin was obsessive about getting it right. Film historians who later studied his surviving rushes found he exposed more than 50 feet of film for every single foot that reached the screen, an astonishing ratio for the silent era. Production stretched across nearly a year. He was also gambling with the formula itself. Nobody had blended slapstick comedy and genuine heartbreak in a feature film before, and industry wisdom said audiences would reject the mix. Chaplin bet everything that a laugh could sit right next to a tear. Then the marriage collapsed. In 1920, Mildred Harris filed for divorce, and her lawyers saw the unfinished film as leverage. If the negative was seized, it could sit locked in litigation for years while Chaplin watched his masterpiece rot in an evidence vault. The Salt Lake City escape worked. With the finished film safely out of reach, Chaplin settled the divorce for a reported $100,000. Then he turned to his own distributor, First National, and refused to hand over the picture until they agreed to pay him $1.5 million. They paid. The Kid opened in January 1921 and became one of the biggest box office hits of the year. Critics who swore comedy could not carry 6 reels watched entire audiences laugh and cry inside the same scene, and movies were never quite the same afterward. Jackie Coogan became the first true child superstar in Hollywood history. There were Jackie Coogan dolls and even Jackie Coogan peanut butter, and by some estimates, the boy earned roughly $4 million before he was old enough to drive. Then came the cruelest twist. In 1935, Coogan survived a car crash that killed his father, and when he came of age and asked for his childhood fortune, he learned that his mother and stepfather had spent nearly all of it. Coogan sued his own mother in 1938 and recovered only about $126,000 of the millions he had earned. The scandal so outraged California that lawmakers passed the Child Actors Bill in 1939, a law everyone still calls the Coogan Act, which forces a share of every child performer's earnings into a protected trust to this day. Coogan eventually found fame all over again as Uncle Fester on The Addams Family. And The Kid found a strange fate of its own. Because it was released in 1921, the original film is now public domain in the United States, sitting free for anyone to watch on the Internet Archive. So the movie that lawyers once chased across state lines now belongs to all of us, which feels like an ending Chaplin might have written himself. The vault is full of stories like this one. Follow the real vault, because the next film we crack open involves an even stranger guy.